Parts determine how objects such as fields display in Browse, Find, and Preview mode. If we go to Layout mode, you'll notice that we have a header, a body, and a footer on our form view, and a header and a body part on our list view. And if we go to Browse mode and make sure they're showing all records and scroll down, you notice that the header never moves. It always stays there. That's because we're in list view right now. The same is true with the footer. If we had one here, it would stay right there. But if we go back to our form view and notice it's in form view, you notice that if we do make this scrollable, I can do that by making this window smaller, that header goes ahead and moves along with the scroll bar. It's a whole different way of working in these different modes. And so the point here is that different types of parts react differently depending on what mode you're in, what view you're in, what fields are in them, and all kinds of things. For your FileMaker career at this moment in time, a header, a body, and a footer are the most important. But as we go on through this tutorial, we'll need to know a little bit more about each type of part that we have. So I've got a little example file to demonstrate each one of these parts. Now, a lot of them are used in reporting, so you won't have to worry about them, but I want to give you an overview at least for right now. And you may find yourself coming back to this file at a later time to review how things react inside of different parts. So in your work files, you'll find a file called context. And you see it has a nice colors here representing each type of part. The title header is in orange, the header is in yellow, and these are all your different types of parts. We've got a leading grand summary, a sub-summary, a body, a sub-summary trailing, which is different than a leading. That determines whether it comes before or after the body. Then you have a trailing grand summary versus a leading grand summary, a footer, and a title footer. So if we go into layout mode and take a look at this, we'll notice that we have the title header right here. That is really useful for printing. Not so much for browse mode like you have in the body part and the header and the footer. But it can be used inside of browse mode sometimes. You know, every one of these parts can be used in special circumstances, but these are really, again, for reporting. And a title header says, I'm only going to appear on the first page, and I'm going to replace the actual header when I'm printing out. Same is true with the footer and the title footer. The title footer replaces that footer on the first page. In fact, a lot of times what people do is they put a title footer on there and put nothing on there because they don't want page 1 at the bottom of every page, or page 1, page 2, page 3, and so on. They don't want it on that first page, they only want it on the second and so on pages. So that's the way that these title parts work. Then you have your leading and your trailing grand summary. These are for reports and allow you to total up all of the values you see in that report. Versus what a sub-summary does, it allows you to organize by a field. So you might want to go ahead and organize by state or city and total up or count up how many records are in that grouping. And you can see when you show and toggle this that this is a sub-summary by number. You could have a sub-summary by any field, and it organizes all the records by that field. And then, of course, your body part is the most important. It just simply shows one record, whereas a sub-summary shows multiple records, or at least a header for those multiple records. It represents multiple records. So what we're going to do is show you how you might use this file. Notice that there's a text, number, date, time, calculation, summary field, and global field in here. And as you walk through the records, you'll see different values appear in them. And this will help you to see how these react depending on what mode you're in and whether you're viewing as form or as list. So if we go back to the first record and view as list, you notice that now when we scroll again, the header is going to stay at the top. You'll see a leading grand summary and sub-summary and a body part here, but only because this is sorted, and this is a live sub-summary report in browse mode. Sub-summary can also be in preview mode. So if we go ahead and unsort this, you'll notice that now we have no sub-summary parts. So this can be kind of interesting how this all works. We'll go ahead and sort that again. Just by the same value, notice it's sorting by number. So that's why we only have one body here for each sub-summary section. This sub-summary leading is a header for this body part. But we have numbers 1 through whatever the maximum number here is, so there's no records that have the field value the same. So that's why we're only getting one body. But if there are two number 1s, well, then it will go ahead and show up in here. Now, things also change when you go into preview mode. You can see now that your title header shows up. And if you go to the last page, you'll see that you have your trailing grand summary here. Go back to the first page, you'll see that you have your leading grand summary here. and you have your title footer here. But if we go to the second page, the leading grand summary is not there. So how these parts react and getting a kind of an overview is really what I want to try to get into your head right now. You don't have to understand everything here. You just want to understand the basics of what's going on here. What you should understand is how a footer, a body, and a header work. If you understand those completely, then you're really going to be just fine right now. If you have a basic understanding of how a sub-summary and a leading grand summary and a title header work, then that's great. That's all you need to know right now. We'll get into those parts in more detail when we cover reporting and other features in upcoming sections.